Livingston's 100 sees Lancashire power to competitive first-day total. Lancashire came into round 6 of the season on top in the division, looking to build upon their 3 wins and a draw in the opening matches thus far, the weather preventing a result in their previous match with Gloucestershire. Leicestershire were hoping to bounce back from a disappointing loss against Derbyshire in the last round, and after a quick pitch inspection elected to bowl. It was the start of the 200th first-class game at Aigburth, and it was off to a dramatic start as Keaton Jennings was run out second ball of the innings. Hassan Azad with some smart fielding to get the wicket. Hamid and Lehman were the new pair at the crease, and they both hit boundaries as Lancashire looked to build a foundation. However, just as they approached the 50 partnership, Lehman fell, an inside edge onto his stumps off Klein, seeing his innings end on 22. Dexter and Klein put the squeeze on the Lancashire batsmen, and they halted the runs. This tight bowling brought about another wicket, as Klein had Hamid caught behind for 30. Livingston and Jones came together, making just over 30 ahead of lunch, but they weren't able to see proceedings through to the interval as Jones edged behind off Mohammed Abbas for 11, leaving Lancs 102 for 4. Villas joined Livingston, and in the period immediately after lunch the South African added 4 boundaries. But yet again, just as a partnership was looking to build, a wicket fell, Villas edging to Swindells off Abbas for 34. 128 for 5, with Livingston and Croft in, Lancashire once again had to rebuild, and the pair were successful, taking the score past the 150 mark. Livingston moved to 50, taking himself to 2,500 first-class runs in the process. The home team then consolidated their first batting bonus point in the 59th over, before 6 from Livingston off Parkinson brought up the 100 partnership, Lancs at this stage recovering well to 232 for 5. They added 6 more before tea, the score at the break 238 for 5. Just after the break, Livingston went to 3 figures, his 7th first-class century. However, he didn't last too much longer after scoring his ton, falling for 114, Cosgrove with the catch off Dexter, Lancashire 264 for 6. Croft moved to 50 but fell moments later, bowled by Parkinson for 51. That brought Bailey together with Bohannon, and they managed to bat aggressively and intelligently through to the close, putting on an impressive 64 for the 8th wicket, including some wonderful shots to the boundary. Bohannon 41 not out overnight, Bailey unbeaten on 29, Lancashire 347 for 7. Bohannon stranded on 98 as Lancashire take maximum batting points at home. Livingston's century on the opening day had allowed league leaders Lancashire to take control of their match. They closed on 347 for 7 with Bohannon and Bailey at the crease. The pair resumed in the same style that they'd closed day 1, Bohannon quickly moving to his half-century with a glorious straight drive. With 105 overs completed, the home side were on 381 for 7, leaving them 5 overs to pick up 19 runs and a 5th batting point. Before that, the duo brought up their 100 partnership, and soon afterwards the 5th batting point was secured as well. Bailey then hit a huge 6 to move to his 50. But their 131 partnership finally came to an end as Bailey was caught on the boundary by Dexter off right for 57. Bohannon then moved to a career-best score of 79. But 1 ball later, Onions was caught at mid-off by Abbas off right for 2. And with Bohannon closing in on his century just before lunch, he was left stranded on 98 as Gleeson was caught behind off Klein for 11, closing the Lancashire innings on 449, all out at the interval. Rain started to fall during the break, and it never stopped. Stumps called, with Leicestershire yet to make their reply to Lancashire's 449. Klein goes on the offensive but can't prevent Leicestershire following on. Superb crowds have been seen at Aigburth for Lancashire's match against Leicestershire, and the home team were finally able to start their quest for Leicestershire's wickets as the visitors began their reply to Lancs' first innings total of 449. Hassan Azad hit the opening boundary of the day, but he failed to add any more as he fell LBW to onions in the fourth over. 3 overs later, the second wicket fell, Dexter caught by Jennings off Bailey. And in the 28-year-old's very next over, he removed Horton, caught and bowled for 11. Cosgrove and Ackerman were left with the task of rebuilding, and they managed to guide the score past the 50 mark. But with that achieved, Ackerman was the next wicket to fall, as Villas took the catch off Gleeson, Ackerman out for 17, Leicestershire 61 for 4. Dearden joined Cosgrove and they attempted to see things through to lunch, but they failed when Dearden edged to Jennings off Livingston for 2. So the score at lunch, 82 for 5, and a great morning's work from the hosts' attack. After the break, Cosgrove and Swindles started to form a good platform, taking the score past the 100 mark in the process. Cosgrove moved to 50, and the pair secured the 50 partnership. However, just after bringing up the latter landmark, Cosgrove was dismissed, onions pinning him in front for 70. Swindles was joined by Parkinson, and they took the score to 150. That was when the 7th wicket fell, Swindles caught by Jennings off Livingston for 37, leaving the visitors 299 shy of Lancashire's first innings total, with just 3 wickets left intact. Parkinson was joined by Klein at the crease, and the pair set about their first point of order well to make it through to tea for no further loss. Klein in particular was looking in really good form, and when they returned for the third session, he began with a barrage of further boundaries. The visitors first moved past 200, thus bringing up the 50 partnership, and then they went to their first batting bonus point, before Klein moved to 50, his first half-century of the season. His assault on the Lancashire attack continued, Bailey the next bowler to receive punishment as he was sent to the ropes on successive deliveries. But Lancashire grabbed another wicket in the next over as Gleeson trapped Parkinson LBW for 37 to bring to an end a partnership worth 119, with Klein still pushing along. He moved into the 80s and looked to be sailing towards a century when Gleeson struck again, trapping the 30-year-old in front for 87, the score 288 for 9. The home side didn't have to wait long to wrap up the innings. Just 3 balls later, Abbas caught behind off Gleeson for a duck, closing the innings on 288. Lancashire enforced the follow-on with their lead 161, so Leicestershire decided to send in Wright as night watchman with Horton. The plan backfired as Onions bowled Wright in the second over to reduce Leicestershire to 1 for 1. Horton and Parkinson dug in to the close, Leicestershire finishing the day on 5 for 1. A fascinating final day awaits at Aigburth, with Leicestershire still 156 runs behind Lancashire's first innings total and just the 9 wickets remaining. Lancashire thwarted by the rain and stubborn Leicestershire batting at Aigburth. Lancashire were in the ascendancy heading into the final day at Aigburth, having bowled Leicestershire all out on day 3 and then reduced the visitors for 5 for 1 when following on before the close. It meant Lancashire needed 9 wickets for victory, whilst Leicestershire needed 156 runs to force their hosts to bat again. There were precious few boundaries in the opening exchanges, but Leicestershire did manage to fend off the Lancashire attack. There was a short rain interruption, which led to an early lunch, but when they returned, Leicestershire had moved on to 30 when Parkinson fell, Livingston with the catch off Gleeson as he went on his way for 15. Horton and Azad dug in, but after a succession of maidens, they finally found the rope again when Horton struck Bailey to the boundary. And on the first ball of Livingston's over, Azad sent the ball to the fence as well. Leicestershire moved past 50 in the process. Horton had occupied the crease for over 3 hours, but his vigil came to an end just shy of a 50, leaving the visitors still needing 74 to make Lancashire bat for a second time. Assad and Dexter put down the defences once more, and they batted through to tea, the score 93 for 3 and one final session to negotiate for Leicestershire. After tea, both batsmen were patient in their approach. Dexter picked off the occasional 4. but their main role was frustrating the bowlers. And just as it looked as though they'd done enough, Lancashire grabbed the all-important wicket of Azad. He nicked off to Croft for 39. Lancashire took the new ball, and they had results almost immediately as Onions trapped Dexter LBW for 27. Cosgrove and Ackerman were the new men with the task of saving the game, and they successfully fended off the final few overs to earn a draw. One that Lancashire will feel they perhaps let slip away, although the time lost to the weather proved crucial in the end. 8 points for the home team, 4 for Leicestershire.